about home. They're married to real estate.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast for people who love real estate and want to become inspired and informed. Whether you are a newbie real estate agent looking to get tips, learn a thing or two, or maybe you're a savvy property owner who wants to get a jump on the market, this is the place for you. We discuss our passion for real estate and people, and we bring together our personal experiences as well as our guests to learn from each other. You'll hear from experts in sales coaching, real estate law, mortgage lending, investing, and many local business owners on how to grow your business or your investment in real estate. I'm Mairi McCauley.
I'm Mairi Elliot.
I'm Mary Forster.
And we are Married to Real Estate.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. It is morning in Westford,
Yes.
Massachusetts this morning. And we are just so excited to share, one, our enthusiasm for real estate, and two, our commitment to personal growth. And third is to really be in service to others. And so that's why I'm here. And to share the morning with you, which is great.
Hang out with the best Marys I know.
Yeah,
That's right.
Three of us. Well, terrific. Well, it has been an exciting week and 2 weeks since our very first recording. And so we have a lot to talk about. But more than anything, Mairi Elliot, you started us off with the most dramatic story, and you have made... You are popular
I
now.
made news.
Real estate history, I think. I think it's real estate
Thank
history.
you. I think it is too. And it's this is pretty normal, right? Like, so since this is my first closing, I'm asking you guys for advice. Like, this is what normally happens,
Sure,
correct?
sure it
You
is.
have babies
right.
at the hospital, you
my
close, and then there's news cameras everywhere, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and then you're
exactly.
being broadcast across the whole country on national news.
Love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is what
Right.
happens.
It
yes.
is.
Okay, good. Good.
Can't wait
As
to
long
see your
as
next
I
one
know.
on CNN.
That's right. It's nothing but up from here. As long as I know what to expect moving forward, that's great. Thank you, guys. No, it will probably never, ever happen like that again. And it is such a strange occurrence that it was my first closing, and it turned out to be this big hoopla deal, and really such a heartwarming, wonderful thing to be a part of. I can't believe it just sort of blew up like that.
I like that your level of service to your clients is, you'll go to the hospital when they're having the baby.
100%. I would have caught that thing if I had to.
Poor girl.
It was close. It was close.
They say it is a relationship business. So
It is.
There you go.
It is. And they're so sweet, and they're very close now. They kind of keeping me in the loop, and I feel like a member of their family in a little bit of a way, and it's very nice. It's love being knitted into somebody's family in that way.
And their story.
And their story.
And how are they enjoying their notoriety?
I think pretty well. I think it was kind of a fun experience for them too. I don't think Kate, the mother, was really expecting to have her photo 1 minute post the birth of her child plastered onto the front page
She
of
looked good, though.
newspapers.
She looked good.
It was
Super.
a beautiful
Yes.
photo.
It really was.
Both of them looked
nobody
amazing.
looks good in a hospital gown.
I know. It was so strange. She looked really, really good.
She
And
did.
Will just took that photo himself, and it was a perfect selfie.
Yeah, that's the selfie generation.
I know.
I'm not
They're
good
like
at
so
it.
good at
Yeah,
it.
they really are.
But yeah, she looked great, and I don't think she was psyched about that part, but once she got through that, she was happy, and she thinks it's a fun story to share with her daughter.
Amazing.
I mean,
Right.
what
Way
a
to
fun.
memorialize your birth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have newspaper clippings about it to give to your
Wow.
daughter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Terrific. And the house was gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, I love
It's
that
your
house.
antique preference, right?
It
You like
is.
selling antiques.
I do. I'm happy to sell any kind of house, but my heart really gets excited and sort of set on fire when I have beautiful architecture in front of me.
Yeah.
And even if it's like a dingy old house, and you open some cabinet and you see beautiful millwork on the doorknob or something, it's just such a treasure from the past. It
Makes you want to
lights me up.
rehab it and bring it back to its glory. I
Completely.
feel the same way.
Yeah,
I have a love
completely.
for that.
Yeah. I hopefully in the future, there is a future of mine where I get to rehab historic
I
houses.
think if you put your mind to it, I think it'll happen, Mary.
That's pretty much what my mind is put to at this point.
I
so.
can't wait to see
Watch
it.
out,
Yeah.
old houses. I'm coming for you.
Terrific.
Good way. That's a happy thing.
In a happy way.
Right.
Yeah.
You sound like, yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific.
I not to continue about me, but I have Ashley, our amazing tech director at KW, working on a logo for me just as a solo agent, and she's putting in a little wand, and it's gonna like
cute.
tap the house, and I feel like that's going to turn into an expression of me coming along and
Nice.
fixing, rehabbing houses,
Oh, I
and
like it.
making them shiny and
Well,
new.
and speaking of Ashley Lucente, she did our logo,
She
Married to
did.
Real Estate. So she's very
Did a nice
talented,
job.
and we love her.
Nice job.
Very
Shout
nice
out
job.
Ashley.
So,
Thank
Mary
you.
Elliot, I didn't tell you that my nephew just moved into his house in Dorchester.
Oh, how is he
We
liking
sold
it?
it. Matt and I sold it for him a year ago. It was unoccupiable. Yeah, knob and tube electricity.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Many hundreds of thousands of dollars later, it is glorious. And they just moved in, and just you'll have to see it.
Feeling so satisfied.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not
good.
crazy about Victorian homes, but this is magnificent.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Magnificent.
Yeah. It was a real labor of love for
Real
for them.
labor of love. Every inch, every inch. But so what else is in the last 2 weeks is our first podcast was
know.
released
So
and
exciting.
aired just a week ago.
Yeah.
Well, Mary McCauley, you're smiling so broadly. Tell us, what was your reaction to it?
Well, it's a little nerve-wracking to create something from scratch and then throw it out into the universe. But it was rewarding, and the feedback was great. So thank you, everyone that has listened and has given us their awesome feedback. I have not listened to it because I just like to move forward, and
There's always one of those out there.
I know. Well, I'm a
Yeah.
little bit like it is what it is, and that's what I like about doing this stuff and recording it, or doing something live. It just keep moving.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring. Any surprises? Anybody say anything to you that really surprised you?
Yeah, well, not that really surprised me, but I was like, aha, like you got it,
Yeah.
which is our vibe. They said
Right.
that we had such a great rapport with each other, and I feel that anyway, and I felt that the minute we met, which was on Zoom for the most
Yeah.
part, and just having that come through in our podcast is amazing, and that makes me really happy.
I felt completely the same way. I was so thrilled that people could pick up on that through just the airwaves, that we're having a great time together. And I really look forward to everything both of you say. So I'm glad that came across.
Right, exactly.
Very well. Yeah.
What
I
about
was-
you, Mary?
Well, I heard so much. Well, first of all, I did listen to it, Mary McCauley.
I will.
I had some trepidation, but I thought, it sounded great. I was so pleased.
Yeah.
Well, that's Nick, our producer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Nick made it sound awesome. Uh-huh.
And then people who I revere, said, it was terrific. Why haven't that person done it yet? And I don't know much about podcasts. I listen to them, but it's Mary Elliot who just kind of opened my eyes to them.
Yeah.
I have two nephews who do podcasts. One is international, Lisa Tilstra's partner, Tim Robinson, and then my nephew Mike Izzo, who actually owns that home in
Right.
Dorchester, but he does one for veterans.
I love this
And I wrote them
podcast.
both a note, and I said, "Move over, young ones." And so, since I'm a little more senior than they are, but,
That's right.
So
That's
that was
perfect.
fun to be able to do that, Mary. It was
Yes.
so fun. My coach said to me, "So, Mary, who's the audience? Remember who the audience is." And I think that's going to evolve. That's going to grow, and as we kind of find our space.
Yep.
So
I agree.
as Mary said, Mary is what we all have in common for now. But I'm sure if your name was Rose, it would be all right too.
We'd let you.
We'd let you know.
Yeah.
And then real estate is where we come from.
Yep.
Right.
That we have met each other
How we met.
Yeah.
as we met mostly during COVID. And yet we will evolve and grow. And
Right.
Well, and like I touched on before, I think that, this podcast is as much about our listeners and our community and what we're trying to build as it is about ourselves and real estate. So I'm excited to see where that journey that all of us are on.
Yeah,
'cause-
I think it's not just about our growth stories, right? I want to hear all of the growth stories. I want to hear, from a Girl Scout troop that just did the most in sales that they've ever done, or whatever it is, something exciting like that, or a business owner that,
Right, or a chance someone took the way that we took
Yeah.
this chance to do a podcast.
exactly, and doing sort of wild leap type things, which I think this is, and I think we're sort of demonstrating that you can do it. It's not that scary, especially when you have a couple Marys holding your hand. It's nice, but to just take the big swings in life, and I want to hear the big swing stories. That's what I'm looking for.
How fun.
Yeah.
That's really great. Good. Well, I'm encouraging you both. Just keep sending it to folks. Okay?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
ma'am.
That didn't inhibit me from sending it to everyone else to listen to because I wasn't brave enough right out of the chute.
Shamelessly. Yes.
Right, exactly. Like that, I can promote the heck out of it.
I just can't listen to
right,
it.
exactly. A little bit,
fair. There's, I have heard plenty of podcasts with actors on it that say they never watch what they've done, and I think it's kind of common. It's one of two types of personalities. I think I will have to listen to everyone so I can at least know and internalize and remember what I said. But yeah, there are lots of people out there that can't listen to themselves and yet still go on press tours and talk
Right.
it up
Yep.
like it's
Yep.
the
Right.
best thing ever. Yeah.
So the message to our audience is, if you are thinking of doing a podcast, do it. Just
Yeah,
find your
Right.
niche and
Reach
do
out
it.
to us. We'll
Reach
give
out.
you our advice, and you've seen our
Right.
journey or join our journey.
Or if you're thinking about starting a career in real estate,
Reach
do
out to
it.
us.
Yes,
do it.
Reach out to us. We will
Yes.
help you.
We
We will
will.
get you hooked up with the people
Good
that can train
point.
you.
Good point, Mary Elliott.
Excellent, excellent, really good. Well, as host this week, and since we're rotating hosts, I get to choose a topic.
Yes.
And so eventually, I guess in just 2 more episodes, the second episode after this one, we're going to have speakers, guests.
Yeah, we're going to start hopefully a parade of interesting people to come in and join our podcast.
Yeah.
And we're starting that, November 5th?
Yep.
November 5th.
Yep.
Right. Till then, we're going to use some topics. So
Exactly.
a topic that's really close to my heart is the topic of networking.
Yes.
So what is networking? The process of interacting with others to exchange information and to develop professional and social contacts, information, advice, and referrals. And so I was trained by Buffini and Company when I became a realtor to build my business by referral. So
Yeah.
really the foundation of my training is networking,
Right.
which is great because I'm a networker. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it was easy. But what I find is that there's more to networking than just business. And I have become so interested in being of service to others. And,
Yeah.
We all have some mutual friends in common who
Absolutely.
that's all we hear, right? We just all we hear, be of value to others.
Yes. Yes.
And so I would, I talk about networking from an informal perspective, having coffee with you,
Right.
or meeting a neighbor up the street whom I haven't met yet, or maybe some more formal structures. So there are networking groups. There's Polka Dot, right? Polka
Yeah.
Dot is a national group, right, Mary?
It is. It's international, actually.
Oh, really?
Are you a member?
I am a member. This is my 3rd year.
Oh, really? And
Yep.
so what's the formal name? Polka Dot?
Polka Dot Powerhouse. And it's about connecting. It's not networking. It's not deemed that way. It's connecting the dots. That's why we're dots.
Got it.
So that's what that's about, and it's great. It's all women. You can join it for whatever reason you want. They have monthly meetings. Right now, they're out in Minnesota for the annual Polka Dot conference. I forget the complete name.
Sure.
But no, it's great. It's a great organization. It's funny because you say that about formal and informal networking. And the first year that I joined, there was a woman that had shoulder surgery, and she needed rides to physical therapy, and a slew of dots, including myself. I'd never met her. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Oh my gosh, your poor shoulder. Okay, where are we going? And we chatted, and I waited for her appointment, and I drove her back home.
Wow.
So it was just nice to have that community, to know that. And it's the kind of place that you can go, oh, my daughter wants to, is thinking about going into, biomedical engineering, say. And and does anyone know anyone?
Right.
So it's a connect you in any way. So I love that about that, and it's a good mentality, and it's something I had before I joined, and then I was like, aha, this is great.
Right.
I didn't think I would be in a position to meet women and call them friends at my age, over 50. I really, hadn't been back in the workforce that long, and in our business, the office wasn't really the community that it is thanks to COVID, a COVID gift, where we've met on Zoom and we've been doing that for a long time. Didn't feel that way prior to that, so feels that way now, which is great.
Sounds
maybe
like a good community. Yeah.
I did go to a DOT meeting just as an intro, and a woman from the DOT subsequently reached out to me and said, I want you to know two people that are important to me. One was a lender who actually has a niche, and his niche is he helps divorcing people get loans to buy real estate.
Can you give me his number?
Definitely.
I need that. I have, not for me.
Right.
I,
Really.
not for me.
What do you have to say about that? I could have used that when I divorced.
Oh, definitely, because there's a way, apparently through the courts, that even if the divorce decree is not final, there's a way to kind of qualify the person who maybe is not working or who is moving out of the property. So so that was just this DOT who called me out of the blue, and I only ever saw her at that meeting. But
well, this is connecting the dots right now, because I literally had a dear friend call me and tell me that she's in this situation and she doesn't know what she's going to do. She hasn't really worked for years, and he wants to sell the house, and how is she going to do anything? How is she going to buy anything? And I said, let me look at lenders that can help you. And
definitely.
Yeah. 16 years ago when I was divorced, I was a stay-at-home mom for many years and hadn't worked and didn't have an income on paper and couldn't afford to stay in the house, that was our marital home. And couldn't buy him out. And so, without the help of my family, I wouldn't.
It's a tough
I wouldn't have
situation.
been able to do anything.
Yeah, it's a really sort of desperate
I'm glad
situation.
to hear things have changed a little bit with
with
niche,
lenders.
a real niche,
Yeah,
yes.
no, that's
Lender.
true. And that's what I was trying to say to her is, no, there are ways. There are many different programs, and these days things are a little bit different. I too didn't have that when I was going through my divorce. It was just sort of a cut our losses and run situation. So it will be wonderful to hand that over
so Mary
to her.
Forrester, you should put that name of that lender.
I will.
Let's give them a shout out on our Facebook page.
On our
Yeah,
Facebook page.
yeah,
I will.
absolutely. Okay.
I will.
Yeah.
So Mary Elliot, tell me about networking in your world.
Yeah, so it has never been, until I came into real estate, it has never been a large focus in my life. Nothing that I thought that I was doing with any sort of purpose. But it turns out I have been doing it my whole life. And I've been just building relationships with people and being a solid person to them. And, hopefully, being a good friend or being a good community member translates into marketing things. Here's an example. I grew up in Groton, in the center of town, and the neighbor across the street was getting ready to sell her house. She had already decided she was working with a different realtor, totally fine, but she loves me and has referred me business now, is referring me business for her family plots of land that they also have, and is just she talks me up everywhere she goes.
That's great.
But that's just from me, being the girl across the street, maybe bringing her mail or like trick-or-treating at her house and, all of that sort of general goodwill that builds up over time, I think ends up serving you if you've been a decent person your whole life. And I think, not that I've been perfect always. I've certainly made my share of mistakes throughout life, but I think, if people get across that or get the feeling that your heart is coming from the good place, they're going to want to help you too. And that's networking. So it's like a reciprocal relationship. I don't like necessarily calling.
It's things in common too.
Right.
I think that makes a big difference. Aside from Polka Dots that I belong to, I do a lot of fundraising and charity
Right, you do.
work.
Yes.
And that's, could be under the network umbrella, but I don't think of it that way. I like to meet people. I like parties. I like having a common interest and a common bond with people. So that's kind of where a lot of that comes from for me.
Yeah, and something you said earlier, Mary McCauley, was we just don't do it alone. We don't do anything alone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that really resonates, that no matter what it is, we
Right.
don't do it alone.
Well, and that's how what I mean is I didn't realize I had been doing this networking, and now in real estate, it's something you sort of lean on, right? It's how you make your connections and you talk to your people and say, all right, who do I have in my sphere that I can reach out to and talk to about real estate that might be interested? And when you really look at it, you've collected a whole bunch of people in your life through your interests, through the things that you have in common. And I wanted to get to, we just had a really inspiring young agent come and talk in our productivity group last week or 2 weeks ago.
Kimberly.
It was this
Kimberly,
past Monday.
yeah, past
Reserve.
time's
Yeah.
flying.
Like 2 weeks
I don't
ago.
know.
Yeah, Kimberly Meserve, I had reached out to her.
Right.
And she came and spoke to our group. And
Yeah.
so go ahead. Yeah,
No,
she's awesome.
she's really awesome, very sort of powerhouse type woman. I think she's one of those people that takes the big swings and does the big things. So I'd love to hear more from her eventually. Kimberly, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on.
Right.
But what she said one thing that really stuck with me, which is do the things that you love.
Right.
Do the things that will make you happy. Go to the places that are going to make you happy. And that's how you build your network, because that's where you're most on fire. That's the stuff where your best self is out and the people will be attracted
Right.
to
Find
you.
your tribe.
Yeah, find your tribe.
Very
and
simple.
Mary Forrester, you do ballroom dancing,
I
is this
do.
correct? Yeah. So do you find that that's sort of the case
Oh,
there?
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was coming to mind. So just by background. So my husband and I are married almost 29 years, but we met 31 years ago at an Arthur Murray Ballroom studio in Falls Church, Virginia. And we married a year and a half later.
love it so
I
much.
do too.
And then over the years, we danced for quite a while, and then
Dancing through life.
You
Yeah.
fell in love dancing in his arms. I just love it.
Oh, she's going to cry.
it gets even more romantic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it will. It will. I don't have to bore you, but so many years later now, and during COVID, a friend of mine in Virginia was saying, "Mary, I'm dancing 4 days a week. I have to be. It's COVID, but I can't stay in my place anymore. I just can't stand it." So I thought, what are we doing?
Right.
So we called up that Arthur Murray studio in Burlington, and we started last July, a year
Yes.
ago. Now, I did shred my meniscus 3 months ago.
Was that dancing?
Yes, I was
Oh, it
dancing the
was.
salsa. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
no.
yes.
More hip, Mary. More hip.
More knee.
Less knee, more hip.
I don't know.
But the doctor who referred me to the orthopedist was from that studio.
Yep.
Everybody
Right.
else was
Networking.
explaining. I mean, it was all networking.
Beautiful.
But I do want to share one thing. There's one woman at the studio that really stands out. She's Kimberly also. And Kim has an organization that is trying to move the furniture industry to require hooks of furniture for children.
Oh, yep. So the dresser doesn't
Doesn't
fall
fall
over
over,
and
yeah.
crush
So
a child.
how many home inspections have you been through
Oh.
where the home inspector said that stove is missing the hooks,
anchor,
the
yeah.
anchor to the wall? So with Kim, who has lost a child,
Oh,
a
I'm so
toddler,
sorry, Kim.
she started this group 20-some years ago, and still making slow progress toward
Yeah.
this. This is the kind of networking that is really awesome.
Yeah.
And but so I just love it. I just love these opportunities.
Well, I think we're interested. We're interested in people and their stories,
Right.
and how we can connect. If you met someone that you thought I needed to know, you would
Right.
do that, and vice versa. And you've done
100%.
that actually.
Yeah.
And
I've done that.
right.
That's right.
I love
Right.
it. I love that. And I think that's such a, I may have said this before, but it's a very heartwarming experience to do that for people. Like that gives me the warm and fuzzies.
Right.
If you're, just hanging out with your friends at the ballroom and somebody knows the right orthopedic surgeon for
Right.
you and you know the right, way to market this thing for her, that's a beautiful symbiotic relationship that is not set into this corporate networking event.
Well, and it's
you know?
not coming from what can you do for me?
Right.
Right.
You know, it's what I can do for you.
Yes.
It's care. It's an environment of care too.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, you're gonna have to start ballroom dancing now.
I
I know,
really
I kinda
I'm-
want to
I'm
now
in.
that you said that.
I think my husband would honestly do it. He's
You know,
a pretty good dancer.
Mary, maybe
Yeah.
we should have an event at the studio with demonstrations and maybe cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and we can
Excellent.
invite
I love this
clients
idea.
and people.
I'm already. I'm going to call Andrew right now.
All right,
Yes.
good. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm
Okay.
in. Yeah.
Terrific.
I used to dance. I
did
danced
you?
for years.
Ballet?
And years. I did. Yeah. Well, I did ballet, tap, and jazz for 15 years of my life. And it was really fun and amazing. And I was like pretty good at it. I got asked to dance with the Boston Ballet one year for the Nutcracker, just as like a child, not as a real ballerina. But I was on the stage and that was super fun. But I cannot dance to save my life now as an adult. Like I'm
Well, it's a
Elaine
limiting
from
belief.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Limiting
I mean,
belief.
I could do like I can do pirouettes and I can do like that sort of stuff, but I step on people's feet. I go the wrong way. I end up trying to lead. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm dancing with a partner.
Well, let's continue this conversation as we go forward in other
Okay.
episodes because everybody wants to walk forward, don't they, Mary?
Absolutely. Yes, Mary.
Okay,
yes,
just
Mary.
very
I want to
good.
walk
Absolutely.
straight forward into ballroom dancing.
And not
so-
look like lean.
Yeah, rather than backward and in high heels, you know. That's what we
Right.
have to
I
do.
want to glide like Mary Forrester.
Oh, me too. And I want the glittery, flowy dresses. Yes,
Yep.
please.
So what else we do on this format is we raise the issue of a quote. And so my Marys didn't want to read the quote ahead of what I gave you. So
Like-minded individuals.
Here's the quote, and it's a very famous Zig Ziglar quote. Oh, before we go there, I just want to say that, and I'll put it on the Facebook page for the podcast. There's a great article in something called Oprah Daily on networking,
Oh, okay.
especially if you're a shy person. Because
Yes.
Kimberly Meserve said she's an introvert.
Right.
Right.
Introverted extrovert. That's
Yeah,
where I
actually,
put myself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
same. And I did actually want to touch on that part too, because I find I'm an introvert too. People are shocked to hear that, but it's very exhausting for me to be around people, and I really need to restock after being in a big event like that. And I totally identified with what she was saying, and that's why this idea of do what you love is it doesn't make it as scary. It's not putting yourself in a situation where you're, sort of you against all those strangers out there. It's you with this group of people that are ready and willing to embrace you because you guys are all like-minded, or you're all enjoying, the gardening club or the what have you.
Well, I think a
Yeah.
common denominator does make it easier. And
Yeah.
going into a room full of people maybe that you've never met, but
Right.
you're all there to support, say, a charity or some common interest like that,
Yeah.
then it automatically gives you, like you said, that extra boost.
A boost of
And-
confidence,
yeah.
and you just feel less afraid to speak your mind and say things around people that get you.
Get you.
Yeah, I
Good.
think, yeah.
So this little article is,
Yes.
even if you're an introvert, here are some tips to actually networking. The first tip is you think about people that you know from your past. People that you went to school with. That was a really important one, especially when I moved back up here from Virginia and D.C.
Yep.
Is who did I go to school with all these years ago? And
Yeah.
so it was a wonderful resource, a way
It's
to
a
connect.
huge resource, all of those people you went to school with. And once you this is, I think, one of the beautiful things about where the three of us are at in our lives. Because once you get past, I don't know, I don't want to put a fine number on it, but I want to say 35, maybe even 40. The people that you were afraid of in high school become much less scary, and you can talk to them. And they're actually excited to hear from you. And all of these people are all of these old, hang-ups that you have about what happened way back when or middle school or whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. And people are genuinely, interested to see what you're doing in your life and how, and I feel the same way, and I'm genuinely invested in, how are you doing? What's your family like, and what's job life like for you? And it's really, really interesting because these are people that we basically have known our whole lives.
We grew up
And that
with.
becomes very important once you get older because you realize you don't have
I don't know
that
if I
many
agree
people.
completely with some of that.
No?
No, I mean there are people. I think maybe I have the beauty of sort of two different things. One is that I have a best friend that we've been best friends since before 6th grade.
Yep.
We've gone to different high schools, colleges. We live in different parts of the states. But we have that like bond from way back then, no matter
Yes.
what.
Mhm.
And then I moved away so I don't I haven't been to a high school reunion. I
Yeah.
don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And I kind of left that behind, and I was just kind of laughing to myself because I had said that about the podcast. Like I just go forward. I didn't
It's
listen.
true.
So I
Yeah.
just sort of did that. I came out east to college from Illinois, and I've just kind of never looked back.
Yeah.
Now I have had people on Facebook, connections with people I went to high school with, or even middle school, and seen their lives like sort of through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even had some that were not so nice to me in middle school and even high school that are like, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I treated you like that. And I was like, oh, we were in middle school. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me anymore. I've left that long ago. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, the ones, I have kept in touch with some that, I've cared about and kept in touch with over the years. But, I just didn't, like I said, I don't really tend to look back.
You don't want to go reach back into that pool.
So
yeah.
we're learning
Yeah.
about each other really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, no, that's. I felt that way for a very long time, and now that I live again in the town that I grew up in, it's much
Different.
easier. Yeah, it's different. It wasn't as strong on my mind, but there's so many of us around still, and like an odd number of us that all married each other from high school. So that's just a cool microcosm in itself, like all of the couples that got married. And you realize that they have the same values as you.
Same
That's
values.
why they
Yep.
got married to each other, because we all have this deep connection.
Right.
And
And like
you know.
you said, you grew up together, so those are formative years, and you have that common denominator.
Right.
So I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
yeah.
Cool. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
I'll post the article.
Okay,
on-
yeah, very
on
interesting.
the website, and you get to see. Good. So getting back to the quote.
Yes,
So this is a
yes.
famous Zig Ziglar quote. You can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want.
That's exactly right.
And when I first read this, I thought, this is a little Pollyanna or
Like
whatever.
chain lettery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It didn't. Now, and I'm not even sure I knew who Zig Ziglar was when I first heard it.
Right.
But now, of course, we know he was the guru of motivation in the whole.
I still have cassette tapes of his from my father.
You have what? What are they called?
Yeah,
Cassette tapes. For those of you out there.
Old-timey device.
Better than 8-track.
Right. Yeah, not quite 8-track. It was the next generation, Mary.
That's right.
Cutting
edge
for the math.
So I can get everything I want in life if I just work to help others get it too. And I would say being so driven all through my life, I'm a very driven employee and professional and just everything. And now that I look back, I realize that life really is about helping people get those very things that I want. in life.
Yes.
And I think service, particularly in the service industry that we're in, really any industry, any business, is we benefit by being of service to others.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I wasn't even thinking about it in the work world. What just popped into my head immediately was like, any mother knows this, right? Any
Yeah,
parent.
you're right.
I shouldn't even just say mother, but
Yeah.
any parent knows this because you're constantly putting their shoes on before you can get your own, or getting them ready before you can do yourself. Or we have that analogy a lot in real estate about put your gas mask on. Well, this is a little bit different, but you can't
Oxygen,
help
yeah.
oxygen mask, not gas mask.
Do
That would
not
be a no-no.
poison yourself
Don't do
first.
that. No. Don't do that one. Oxygen mask. But, so that kind of just, I flip-flop that a little bit. But because, you have to be in a good place to help everyone as well. But
Yeah.
by helping yourself first. But I still think the mother thing and very selfless.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Selfless,
thinking about
right.
it in a work world kind
Yeah.
of way.
Right. Yeah, I heard this morning on Win with Jan that fill your cup first.
Right.
Fill your cup first.
Yeah.
Well, which I personally don't have a tendency to do.
Yeah.
I'm always last.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
In my life.
I think this quote sort of embodies everything that I love about the real estate business. I think it is the embodiment of what real estate is, because we are here to help others. And through
with their
that,
biggest purchase of
with
their
their
lives.
biggest purchase of their
Right.
lives, and
That's a good
something
point.
very meaningful. I'm not here to help you buy a pair of earrings. I'm here to help you buy the place that you're going to build memories with your family, or do whatever it is that you love doing for the next chapter of your life. And that is something good for somebody, and making that process easy, or at least
Stress-free.
easier for the person, and less stressful, and giving them the best advice possible, are all the good things that we're doing for that person. And then, not to be too direct about it, at the end of that transaction, we get a check. So that
Right.
it translates back to, like, I think what I said in our first episode is kindness, helping others, be kind to others, and things come back to
Well,
you.
I have a story I'd like to share that about the commission check. This came up recently. So I have buyers that live on, about a half an hour away from us here in Westford. And the closing was going to be in Topsfield.
Oh, boy.
They live in Clinton. The closing was going to be in Topsfield.
Okay.
And the closing attorney didn't consult me about that, and they went directly to the client and the buyer, and he didn't know that he had a choice. Now, I had offered our Westford office.
Right.
Because I figured it was a little more middle ground. But this attorney office, title company, has a Haverhill office. So long story short, we're closing in Haverhill so that
Okay.
we don't have to go 9 in in October towards the Topsfield Fair or
Jeez.
Salem, Mass, or,
Oh my God.
right at 9 and be there at 9 a.m. for these first-time home buyers. thing.
Yeah.
But what brings me around to the thing about the commission check was that the title company thought I was maybe being a little unreasonable in trying to push this to be somewhere else other than Topsfield. And they put in an email that my client was on and said, just so you know, there aren't going to be any agent checks or seller checks at the closing, implying that the only reason I was going
Was to get the
a
check.
check. And I wrote back privately to the attorney
Yeah.
and said, don't appreciate that, insinuating that I'm in it for the money or my check. I go to all of my clients' closings.
Right.
They're important to me.
Right.
So, yes, it's not all about the check.
No,
I
it's
want,
not.
I believe in the people that I help and serve. And, that was just,
Yeah. No, I totally, that's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
that's an
terrible.
awful thing that happened. But I think what I mean is the check is a surprise out of it. It's like this, yes, I know I'm going to get paid for it logically, but the steps that I'm taking beforehand are just the right things to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like the goodness and the right way to solve a problem for
Right.
a person.
same with going to the
And then
closing.
just
It's just
by
the right
doing
thing to do.
Right, like just by doing what I would do for my best friend, I'm doing for a client,
Sure.
and then I get paid for it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. Like that's why I love real estate. It's you get paid for how well you work in this business.
And even if
Yeah.
you're surprised in the end and the deal does go bad, you still have done everything you could for your client. That's
Right.
the most important thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone says, you were guilty of carrying too much in a transaction, that's okay. I'm great
Fair.
with that.
Reasonable.
I
You're like,
I
"I'll
hope I
take it."
am.
Yeah.
Good,
Right.
good. Well, the very last section of our program is an opportunity to share a statistic or a fact that might be interesting to our audience. Either Mary, do you have one that you want to share?
Well, I don't have a fact like I did the last time with numbers, but I have sort of an impression of the market in October in Massachusetts. And
good.
I think what I've been seeing is that there are a lot of houses still coming on the market that I wouldn't have expected to be coming on the market. Very sort of high-end homes still that generally one thinks, or I think maybe the zeitgeist idea is that all the gorgeous homes are on the market in the summer and you're going to get everything beautiful, and then it sort of trails off in the winter. But no, a lot of things are coming on, and a lot of really beautiful homes are coming on. I think they may sit a little bit longer because it is fall and people have to consider, but it's just as strong. Like
So,
there's lots of stuff out there.
I have a question for you, Mary. How long have you been in real estate?
Just a year.
And I that jokingly.
No, I
because-
mean, that's the
right. The
zeitgeist.
mindset,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. You would think that summer's over, school's already
No,
started.
I know,
It's going to be
right.
the holidays, like none of that. But that's not true. Typically, October is a really good month, and
Yeah.
it's a really good month to list your home. And we do a weekly.
Productivity or
No,
how's the market?
Yeah, the how's the market in our office, and so it comes out on Monday. So for the prior week, what was the difference? Well, there were 200 more homes newly listed in Massachusetts than the week before.
Yeah.
So there are still homes. I agree with you. They are tending to sit longer. I think we've seen a slowdown. We've seen more price reductions than we had seen in probably
Yes.
2 years.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So-
I think a lot of agents maybe have gotten over the summer used to that, like excessive home
Right.
sale prices and over asking
True.
offers. So they were listing at what they were expecting out of that, and it didn't necessarily hit. And
Well,
the market's wise enough where
I
they can say, I'm
Right.
sorry, I saw this house down the street. It's the same house, and it was $150,000 less.
Well, I think buyers too are more savvy, especially because they've had to be in the market longer than your typical buyer before COVID.
Yeah.
So, and before the interest rates were so low and all of that. So I think that buyers aren't willing, and that's how prices are set with the house. What a house
Yep.
sells for has nothing to do with what you or I think or the homeowner
Yep.
truly thinks. It's what the buyers are willing to pay.
That's right.
So I think the buyers have gotten really smart and, like you said, a little tired of these outrageous prices.
Right, right. Yeah, no, so that's my point of bringing it up is that I feel like out in the world, if you're not a real estate expert, you think, oh, well, I've missed the market. I can't put my house on the market. It's not August anymore. I'm done. Right? But
Not true.
But no, coming through it, this is my first real October in real estate, and no, it's not true at all.
It's a great time to list.
It's a great time to list.
In fact, I think Realtor.com said something like this week in October, more transactions happen than in.
I had a stat
Did you see that?
I had a stat I posted on Facebook. It's like the week of October 7th to the 14th
Right.
is the most active real estate week in the year.
That's
Isn't that
amazing.
amazing?
Yeah, yeah. Go
in-
Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah, well,
what is that?
That's true. And then also in your own lives, don't you notice that October is like the busiest month?
It's an energizing month.
It
an
is,
energizing
and you're
month.
like getting ready for stuff.
Getting
and-
ready
yeah.
for winter. It's like the
Right.
squirrels outside
I
getting
know.
ready.
I do feel a little
Right.
bit like a
There's
squirrel right
some
now.
little
You're
hustle
so
and
right.
bustle.
Good.
So where are you putting your nuts, Mary?
They're all over my kitchen
Yeah,
counter.
exactly.
So Mary McCauley, fact, anything you want to share today?
No, I think just that we were seeing more inventory,
Yeah.
and that things are lasting a little bit longer, and that we've seen more price reductions, just as a general rule of thumb.
Good. Very good. Excellent. Well, this has been an amazing discussion,
Yeah.
as always. It's just terrific.
Does it have to be over?
I know.
I don't want it to be
we
over.
could keep it going for a while, but
We'll be
let's-
back, Mary.
We'll be
That's
back.
a good thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tune
Put all
in
your
soon for
ideas
episode
together.
3.
Yes.
And I just want to special thanks to Nick Woodbury, our
Yes.
producer,
Woohoo,
and
Nick.
Go,
and
Nick.
Westford Cable TV. Lovely. The help that we're getting here is just really,
Great
really
podcast
awesome.
facilities.
Very
Great podcast.
high quality stuff,
Yeah.
guys.
Also,
Yeah.
Ashley Lucente again.
Ashley
Yep.
Lucente. And then I want to give a shout out to Claire Ryan, our broker owner. We're not pushing Keller Williams, but I just want to say that, I'm thankful for the environment that we're able to grow in.
Yes.
I'll push Keller Williams, our
will?
office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Merrimack Valley, we have the best office.
Merrimack
Mary.
Valley,
Thinking about
number
real
one
estate,
Westford.
come visit us. We are like a family. It's this fun and like this all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
Honestly, like that's the culture at
It
the
is.
office.
It's a great culture.
This is a good microcosm of what our office culture is like.
Yep.
And to speak to Claire on that, she did something. She made an announcement at our last team meeting that really blew my mind, and it probably wasn't, very meaningful to everybody else. But I had just received in the mail after a 6-month-long application process to get onto my husband's life insurance. I had lost my own after being furloughed from my company. Tried to get onto my husband's life insurance as a supplemental plan, and they denied me because I have a cancer history. And that history was 15 years ago. So it's kind of like I'm good, guys. I'm in the clear. You know, my second cancer is not really, it's just a little skin cancer. It's not that scary. You can give me life insurance. But I felt defeated. And then 2 weeks later, Claire's announcing, hey guys, we're doing this whole new life insurance policy for the office, and I can't believe we got this, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you. And it's not just term life, it's whole life. And I mean, that's really incredible that
It
she
is,
puts
and you
her
just have
effort.
to answer 3 questions.
You just answer
no
3
physical.
questions. There's no
Yeah.
med check. They're
Right.
not going to flag me because I'm cancer girl. Like, I just
Right.
get to get life
Well, and
insurance
to our
again.
listeners, what's important about that is that we're self-employed. We're independent contractors, so we don't have any benefits.
Right.
We have to go out and get them and pay for them ourselves.
That's right.
So while we do, you can do them maybe through the National Association of Realtors and some of that. They do have those options. It's expensive no matter what if you're trying to do it solo. So it's very, very important that our broker owner, Claire Ryan, had gone the extra step
Yes.
to secure that for people because it is important.
It's really important, and it's not something I even expected from a real estate office to
Right.
be offered, and I was just shocked and overjoyed. It was, I think the end result of this podcast is that I'm discovering I'm a narcissist because everything is about me. And
Not
and
true.
then she was speaking, she did that because she knew I was going to need a life insurance
Oh, that
policy.
was it.
Yeah.
Yes, I know she did. Yeah.
Maybe you just have a direct line. You guys are like in tune.
In tune.
Yes, exactly.
What does Mary need today?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Let's
Mary,
ask Claire. We'll have her on. and
Okay.
we
We'll
can
have her
ask
on. Let's have
her on.
If
Let's
she
have
does
her on.
wake
Let me
up
know.
wondering about the
Well, Mary McCauley, Mary Elliot, it has been a pleasure once again.
So much
Episode
fun.
2.
Love it.
Thanks.
Love you, ladies.
See
I
you
love
next
this.
time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Mary, Mary, and Mary, so extraordinary. Well, now they're talking about how